Whoever needs it, I'm always happy to help.
If something went wrong. Yeah, today I'm with the conversation with the hypnotherapist and podcast host. Hope it helps. Khaled Abuljebain. Before I bring him on the screen, he helps entrepreneurs or business owners or people from different walks of life to get rid of their phobias in short time, and we're going to learn how he helps us with that. So please help me welcome Khaled Abuljebain.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for the kind intro, Muhammad. I really appreciate it, and super excited to be here on your show, and excited to have this conversation, man.
Khaled, let me start with this. Where were you? What happened? Who are you surrounded with that inspired you to do what you do today?
So I was living in Amsterdam a few years ago, and during that time, I went through a long journey of personal development and growth and so on. And in that time, I discovered hypnotherapy. And last year, when I moved back to Dubai, I decided to number one, launch my podcast because I just want to help people. So I hope that the conversations I have on the podcast can inspire people and help them in whatever field they're in. And then I also added hypnotherapy to it because I wanted the tool that I could directly have a positive impact on someone's life, just like it had on mine. So I just wanted to do the same for other people.
What are top 3 mistakes to avoid?
It's a good question. Regarding regarding therapy or regarding a podcast?
You can share your experience with the audience. Either way is fine. Yeah, maybe finding a hypnotherapist, how to work with you, or maybe doing a podcast, anything you like.
Absolutely. So in terms of therapy or hypnotherapy, whatever you want to do, number one, I would say if you make sure it's you that wants to go to therapy, not someone telling you to go to therapy, because at the end of the day, if you don't believe that it's going to work, then no matter who the therapist is, it's not going to work. Number two, understand that a therapist is there to help you. It's still your responsibility to work on the problem. So my job is to guide you, to help you find the answers you're looking for. But after that, there's some work that you have to do yourself so that you can fully get over this issue. And what I do in one session, we can have a very quick and rapid transformation. But in order to make that transformation last in the long term, there's certain work that you're going to have to do to ensure that you're completely rid of this issue and you're free from it and you can, live the life that you want and have the happiness that you want. And number three, I'd say make sure that you're ready to make that change. Because if you're not going to put in the work that you need to do to get rid of this issue or to get rid of that phobia so you can move past it and be free. So I think those would be my top three.
Wonderful. What is your greatest failure story? What did you learn and how did you overcome through it?
That's a good question. Greatest failure. I think it was in my first job. I didn't understand what it took to be successful in my role. So my background is in sales, but when I took my first sales job, I didn't have any sales experience. So that first year was very challenging in understanding what is sales, understanding how to deal with people and so on. So I made many, many, many mistakes, especially in that first year. But it's okay. When I reflect back, I worked for another 2 years in sales as well. And all the mistakes I made in my first year made me a better salesperson in the second and third year. And I was able to hit 100% of my targets and I was very successful. So I had to, first of all, I think the most important thing is when you make a failure is to take ownership of it, take responsibility that sometimes things happen that are not your fault. But if you take responsibility for what you can control, then you have the ability to change it. And because of that, I was able to change it in my future job and my future roles. And that's how I was able to be successful. But it all starts with taking ownership and of yourself and taking full responsibility for yourself.
What are your top 3 success secrets that other can follow?
Number one, I'd say always be learning. Even if it's not in your field, always be, like feeding the brain. That's what I like to call it. Learn about a different industry, learn about a new tool, learn about a new software, learn about social media. The more you learn, no matter what it is, it will come in handy for you at some point in the long run. I've taken courses on things that have nothing to do with what I do, like memory courses, like things like that. But in the long run, and I've seen in my life that they have helped me. So I'd say always learn. Don't be afraid to ask for help. There's that famous quote, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, that you need people. So don't be afraid to ask for help. We all need help to, build our businesses, to grow our networks, for whatever it might be. So don't be afraid to ask for help. And number 3, just be consistent. It doesn't have to be perfect. When I launched my business, when I launched my podcast, I can tell you for sure, it was not perfect at all. I made many mistakes, but I was consistent. So when I launched, for example, the podcast, I did 52 episodes in a year. So that's 1 episode a week, and I didn't miss a week. And I started during COVID, so there were a lot of challenges that came with it, but I was just consistent. And because of that, I've been able to speak to some incredible people all over the world, all because of the consistency. And I did a good job because I got better over time. So now people would recommend others to come on my podcast to have a conversation. So consistency, don't be afraid to ask for help, and always be learning. I think those would be the top 3.
What is the most impactful business book you have read, and what did you learn from it?
I wouldn't say this is a business book, but it's probably the book that had the biggest impact on my life. It's called Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. I believe I've said that right. And it's all about us as people, how the mind works, how there's so many things about us that we don't realize, that we're not aware of, that we take for granted. And it really gave me a whole new perspective on myself, on other people, and I have a much better understanding now of how do people think, why do they do the things that they do. And this book has really helped me in the work that I do now, because it just adds to, as a hypnotherapist, you have to learn all these kind of concepts, but now I have more data and more knowledge that backs it up, that helps me be successful at my job.
What do you want to be remembered for?
This is a fantastic question. Hamad, I might take this one from you and use it in my podcast. It's a fantastic question. I've never been asked that before. I want to be remembered as someone that always tried, no matter if I failed, no matter what happened. Number one, that I always tried to do my best and tried to be successful in whatever I do. And probably number 2, and most importantly, is that I lived a life of trying to help other people, a life of service, to help other people overcome the issues, or even just to help a friend. I want to be remembered as Khaled was the guy that came from a good place and just wanted to have a positive impact and help as many people as possible. I think that would be what I want to be remembered by.
How do you overcome a challenge life throws at you?
I think it's important to, number one, try not to get overwhelmed by the challenge, which is very easy to do. For example, when I was starting the podcast, I didn't know how to start a podcast. I had no idea. I didn't know what equipment I needed. I didn't know what software to use. I didn't know how to promote it. I didn't know anything. But I think if you just take a step back, calm down, look whatever the challenge is, and try to break it down into smaller chunks that you can start, tackling one by one, I think that helps a lot. And always to remember to be kind to yourself. Be compassionate. It's okay if things don't work out. And I'm saying this, and I'm probably the most critical person of myself in the world. But at the same time, that is what drives me to do what I do. So there's a balance that you have to find. So I think be kind to yourself and break down the problem or the challenge into smaller chunks, tackle them one by one. You build that momentum and things get a lot easier. And number two, always remember that no matter what the challenge is, once you get through that, there's going to be more challenges that are coming because that's what life is. So don't stress about it. You'll be fine. You will get through it and you'll always bounce back.
Once you have a revenue generating idea, how do you convince your significant other?
Ooh, this is a good question. Interesting. I think you need to make I think number one, if you have a clear plan of what you're going to do and how you're going to do it, I think is very helpful so that you can show your significant other, this is the way I'm going to move forward and these are the targets I want, these are the goals I want to achieve, so they can understand where you're coming from. I think having a very clear vision is would help a lot. And number two, if you have a revenue generating idea, I think you need to convince your partner and show them that you are going to put in the work to make this successful. And if it doesn't in the end, that's fine, but the intention has to be there, the motivation, the work, the drive, and a clear vision and a plan. I think those would be the three things I would say to convince your significant other to, if you have a revenue generating idea.
What do you want to do when you grow up?
I'm 30 now, so I don't know how much older I'm going to be, but but anyway, in 10 years time, I would like to be very well known in the field of mental health. I want to, change the field. I want to change the global perspective on mental health and through my work with my podcast and through the therapy that I do, I want to work with more corporates as well to change mental health at work, especially given everything that's happened in the pandemic. It's very clear that there's a whole reshift and restructuring that we need to do. So I guess I just want to lead the charge to change mental health in every possible way that I can. That would be the goal.
Who is your living mentor and what is the impact they have on your life?
I'd say the person I look up to, I'd consider them a mentor, but they have no idea who I am. But there's a guy called, his name is Vishen Lakiani. He's the founder of a company called Mind Valley. And they're a company that's all about transforming people's lives through education. So they have courses on everything: money, meditation, memory, relationships, love, fitness, whatever you want. And I've taken so many of their courses, networking as well. And all of that knowledge has made me who I am today, going through those courses, having those experiences. And what I love about him is he completely changed the way I see the world with his book, for example, which is called The Code of the Extraordinary Mind, which is fantastic. I recommend anyone to listen to it, to read it, sorry. And he's just had, through the work he's done with his company, with his book, he's had a huge impact on my life. And hopefully I'll have him as a guest on the podcast someday soon.
What are you grateful for today?
I'm grateful for just being who I am. I think one of the things that a lot of us struggle with, and I've struggled with in the past, is when you look in the mirror, you're not happy with the person that you see looking back at you. And not too long ago, that is how I felt. But over the last couple of years, what I've accomplished, the work that I've done, the amount I've grown, I'm very happy of the journey I've had. Still long way to go, much more to grow and improve. I'm definitely not a finished product, and I never will be. But I'm grateful for just being who I am. I love who I am, and I'm so grateful for all the experiences, all the good and bad, that have led me to where I am today.
Why is being impactful important to you?
Because So when I was working in sales, I loved the aspect of is dealing with people, which I love. I love working with people, which is why I have a podcast, which is why I do hypnotherapy. It's all to do with people. But I was selling products or services that I didn't really care about personally, and I didn't get any fulfillment. And that was something that was missing in my life for a long time. I always used to have this mindset when I was younger. Yeah, I want to be a billionaire. I want to have this. I want to have that. And as you do, I guess, when you're young. And then you grow up and you go through experiences in life. And I realized that what makes me the happiest, what gives me the most fulfillment is being able to have a positive impact on someone's life, being able to help someone. You know, more than selling any product or any service, now I'm selling Khaled. And what I'm selling is something that will enable me to get that feeling and to have a positive impact. So I think it's so important because there's so many incredible people in my life, both that I know and both that I've never met, that have had a positive impact and made me who I am now. So if they did all that for me, I'd love to do the same for other people because I think the more we help each other, the better it is for us.
Yeah, I think we have some internet connection issue. It could be slow, so I'll just wait until it gets better. Hopefully, it does it soon. So. Thank you so much for joining us. We have some challenges, so it's life is real. So we get challenges in life, and so we will see how we can get through it. And I might go on Zoom and record it and share it later time. Right now, I just want to thank you for your time, and I see you with another amazing guest in the future. Until then, bye.